Welcome to the New York Sports Show. I am your host, Jacob Seuss, and we are in for a good day of New York sports. Today we will be talking a little NBA, MLB, but we are going to start off in Brooklyn, New York, where this morning the Nets introduced the 19th coach in their history, Lionel Hollins, who earlier in the week, general manager Billy King signed to a 4-year deal after the late departure of Jason Kidd. So I'm going to start off and give my thoughts on Hollins' press conference today. The first thing that really struck me was that Hollins is a no-nonsense, all-business type of guy. For a team that time and time again for their first 2 seasons in Brooklyn was put under the radar for having lacked toughness, mental toughness on the court, off the court. Hollins seems like a coach who is going to whip these guys into shape, who's going to bring the toughness to that team, and maybe that's the edge that the Nets need to be pushed to the next level and to become better and to make their way to championship contender. The first season in Brooklyn, it went okay. They made the playoffs. That was the goal. But bounced out in the first round. But coming into the second season, the Nets had a lot of expectations. They were under first-year head coach Jason Kidd, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and they didn't get off to the start they wanted, and that's at the point they lacked toughness. They didn't have that edge. And that edge probably is what the difference was in the second round of the playoffs between the Nets and the Heat. So Hollins will bring that to the team, and Hollins is someone who is respected, especially in the Nets locker room. Hollins made a point during his press conference to say that he has already reached out to Darren Williams. He's going to reach out to Joe Johnson, Brook Lopez, Kevin Garnett, and he's giving Paul Pierce the respect of not reaching out to him just yet until the Nets are able to possibly bring Paul Pierce back. Paul Pierce is going to be a huge asset to the Nets if they want to make another run come this season. Paul Pierce has had interest from mostly the Clippers. I've heard Mavericks, Rockets, but it's either probably going to be between the Clippers and the Nets. And Paul Pierce's days are numbered in the NBA. He has 1 or 2 years left. But with Kevin Garnett still under contract in Brooklyn, it's probably the best thing that the Nets bring him back and let these two get one more run together. So Hollins isn't reaching out to him, but he is going to reach out to the players that are on his roster and let them know, talk to them a little bit face-to-face, and be able to have the same goals coming into training camp, summer workouts, and whatnot. Hollins spent a good majority of the past couple years coaching the Memphis Grizzlies. Every season under Hollins, the Grizzlies only got better. Their best season, his last, the Grizzlies won 56 games, the most in franchise history. They let go of Hollins that year. The franchise wanted to go in a different direction. Look towards something new, and if you look at what's happened to them now, that probably was a mistake. He brought out the best in players like Conley, Zach Randolph, and had them play to their full potential, which I know everyone in the Nets organization is hoping he can do the same with Lopez, Johnson, Darren Williams, who struggled in the first 2 years in Brooklyn. Hollins also made it a point to say that he has been working in this last year, in his off year from the NBA, with SiriusXM in NBA TV. He said he has, through that whole year, watched tape on everyone in the league, and he knows what he's getting himself into. And he admitted that the work is going to be hard and strenuous, but it is manageable for the Nets to work hard and get to the championship, which has been prolonged for so long. Hollins also had interest from the Lakers, who he talked about, though. The Lakers did not make an offer to him, and the Nets wanted him first, and he was going to go wherever he wanted, and he felt Brooklyn was the best place for him. He's going to bring defense to the table, and I think the Nets will just be a better team over him. And when we overlap right now and bring the Jason Kidd story into this, I think that the Nets will be better because Lionel Hollins is a coach. He's a real coach. He's an experienced coach. And possibly the Nets won the whole deal with Jason Kidd going to Milwaukee because now they gain someone who is definitely a better coach than Kidd. That goes without saying. And someone who's going to push these players to go and work their hardest and push themselves every game, every practice. And hopefully that will pay off from day one and that will really show in the standings. Jason Kidd did not deserve for the Nets to go out there last season and right away offer him a head coaching job over Lionel Hollins and some of these other coaches they interviewed. But they did it. And after an improvement from Kidd during the season, I don't think there was anyone who didn't expect that Kidd was going to be here for the long run. You know, we lost to the Heat in the second round, and I personally was saying, okay, good, we're going to improve. Everyone's going to work hard during the summer, and Kidd's the coach of the future. He's going to be here. He's going to maybe turn into one of these long-time, tenured, all-star Hall of Fame coaches. But that's not the case. Kidd wanted more, and after the season the Nets had, and showing Kidd's credentials, why should the Nets have even listened to his offer or his request, better off said, to become a more powered position in the franchise? That was absolutely a ridiculous concept for Kidd to try and come into a position with such a good team and try and run the franchise. So, Kidd got what he got what he wanted, and he is now with the Milwaukee Bucks. And personally, I think Kidd is a rat. The Nets were loyal to him, and he took that loyalty and left. He left. And you know what? The best case scenario for me to say to Kidd, I hope Jason Kidd and the Milwaukee Bucks have the worst record in the league this year and lose the lottery pick and wind up with the 4th or 5th pick. That would be perfect karma for Jason Kidd, who left a good situation, left us cold in the dust after we put our faith and trust in him. But the Nets aren't going to focus on him anymore. There's no reason to focus on him anymore. Our future is bright. We still have Johnson, Lopez, Williams, all these guys who are all-stars. You have Kevin Garnett. Hopefully, he will help bring Paul Pierce back, and the Nets will compete this year. You never know. LeBron goes to the West. LeBron goes to Cleveland. Miami's dismantled. Cleveland may not be as good as Miami was. The East is up for grabs, and the Nets can take it. That's all I have to say in Brooklyn. But let's move across the city. The New York Knicks. The Knicks are in a highly competitive race right now to bring back their superstar, Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo has met with numerous teams, including the Lakers, the Knicks, Rockets, Mavericks, Bulls. According to NBA inside sources, Carmelo has not told any teams yet that he has rejected their offer. We all know that the two teams that offered Carmelo the max contract, which was $129 million over 5 years, that was the Lakers and the Knicks. And it's believed that these two destinations are where Carmelo is deciding from, even though the Bulls, the Rockets, and the Mavericks, according to sources, are still in contention. Carmelo, right now, who wouldn't love to be him? He can have all the money that he wants, and he's looking to go to a winning team. What Carmelo is probably thinking, which isn't good for the Knicks, is he's still in his prime, but he's edging to that point in his career where he needs to start winning. He's made playoff appearances in Denver, had one with the Knicks, but he needs to push himself and the players around him to get that championship. And we know that championship is very important to Carmelo Anthony. So that might not be good for the Knicks, because if you look at the Knicks roster right now, it is not an appealing place. And if Carmelo winds up back in New York, it might just be the same things that he's gone through here, and he is not looking for that. If he goes to Los Angeles, he could play with Kobe Bryant. That's already a winning team right there. And I know the Lakers would be looking to bring in someone like Kevin Love, which may be a little unreasonable, but at least bring Pau Gasol back into play. And the Lakers would definitely move right back up into, again, one of the top teams in the West. That's what I think gives the Lakers the edge over the Knicks in who's going to bring Anthony home. The Lakers offered him the max contract, which is the same amount of money he'd be receiving in New York. So why wouldn't Carmelo want to go to a winning team? The Bulls are probably the best option. He can go play with Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and they would move atop the East without a doubt. But the Bulls are not offering him a contract that the Knicks and Lakers are offering. I wouldn't think the Rockets are in contention anymore after offering Chris Bosh the max contract to try and draw him away from the Heat. But I guess you never know. I mean, I guess you can't be surprised if tomorrow you wake up and Carmelo joined forces with Bosh in Houston. That's what Bosh did in Miami. You never know. You could see it again. But within the next week or two, I have a feeling that we're going to see where Carmelo winds up and where he's going to be playing for the next few years. And it might not be the Knicks. I am going to say it's the Lakers, just like I'm sure a lot of other people are. And they would be fun to watch together, Kobe and Carmelo. I would be really interested in seeing how these two are going to mesh. And it was weird last year seeing the Lakers at the bottom of the pack and bringing Carmelo back, Kobe healthy. They have some young guys. They had a top pick in the draft. They would move back up the top and possibly be competing with the Thunder, the Spurs, and they'd be right back up there. So there's not much more you can really say about that. We're going to see soon where Carmelo is going to be playing his ball for the next couple seasons. So now we're going to move on to MLB. The Mets and the Yankees both struggling, but one in a good position, one not so much. Yesterday, the All-Star teams were announced, and we're going to Queens. David Wright, for the second time in the last 9 seasons, did not make the All-Star team. He was voted by the fans second place for third base, but that was not good enough among other vote getters to push Wright into the All-Star game. But Wright has been injured. When playing, he has not been hitting well. I don't think Wright deserved to be an All-Star this year, and it shows. Wright's hitting .274. Supposedly, the best power hitter in our lineup only has 6 home runs. And those aren't all-star numbers. And I get there are other guys with worse numbers who made the team. But Wright is a guy who normally at this point is around 300, 310, maybe 15 home runs at this point. That's what we're looking for from him. And as the captain of a struggling team, he needs to be able to get these numbers. And I get you can't put all the pressure on Wright, but he just isn't having an all-star season. Daniel Murphy was selected. He will be representing the Mets in Minnesota. His first career all-star game, and out of anyone on the Mets, for sure, he was the most deserving. Murphy hitting 294, which is so consistent for him. He is always around the 300 mark, and I can almost guarantee you by the time the season comes to a close that Murphy will be at the same point, around 300. You can almost say that he is the best player on the Mets roster, and they've had a lot of conversations with other teams for trade talks. They've received a lot of calls from Toronto, Oakland, but the Mets have no interest in trading Murphy, I don't think. The Mets and Sandy Alderson are looking to bring Murphy back, maybe a 4 to 6 year contract, which at this point is the best move for the team. Murphy, which really shows how much he's improved, Murphy was not voted in by the fans. He was not voted in by the players. He was picked by National League All-Star manager Mike Matheny, which may be even more of an honor because it really shows the hard work that Murphy is putting in, and it shows the recognition he is getting. Murphy has been putting up these numbers for numerous years now, and as a Met fan, it's really good to see Murphy getting this recognition. He is a class act on and off the field, and next to David Wright, he is probably the best person on this team to represent us in the All-Star game. There was talks of John Neese possibly getting a nod, maybe Bartolo Colon, but with other pitchers in the National League much more deserving, that did not happen. Murphy does lead the league in hits. He's tied atop the leaderboard with 106, and I'm really happy for Murphy. He's having one hell of a season, as he usually does. I don't know if you can call David Wright not making it a snub. I guess you could, considering he still is one of the top third basemen in the whole league. But what Wright's done needs to improve, and he knows that, and he feels he doesn't deserve the spot. Murphy deserved it, and I know everyone in the Mets organization is extremely happy for Murph. So then when you move over to the Bronx, the Yankees had 3 All-Star selections. The first starting at shortstop, of course, in his 14th and last All-Star game, the captain, Derek Jeter. It is expected, but an honor that Jeter goes out in front of the crowd in Minnesota and represents the Yankees for the last time. Jeter is hitting .273 on the season and 2 home runs. Really not all-star numbers, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Jeter deserved to be there. He deserved to be starting. All the hard work and dedication he's put into this league since 1995. He deserves every bit of this glory. And it's going to be similar to how Cal Ripken Jr. went out in the All-Star game at Safeco Field in 2001. He deserved it. Jeter deserved it. It doesn't matter the numbers he has anymore. It matters that he's out there. Mariano got the opportunity last year. Jeter this year. It's good for baseball. The Yankees got, of course, probably the best pitcher in the American League, Tanaka, in the All-Star game for them. Tanaka has a 12-3 record with a 2.27 ERA. There's no argument that he shouldn't be here. He has been one of the most dominant pitchers in the league, without a doubt. The only thing, of course, Tanaka is among the many arguments that he should be starting the All-Star game, and I agree. He has been phenomenal, much better than expected, but the thing is, he's pitching on Sunday for the Yankees, and we're going to see this week what Joe Girardi does, if anything, to possibly limit Tanaka, maybe move his start up a day or two to have him start the All-Star game on Tuesday, or if the Yankees are just going to let him run the course, start on Sunday, and then not be available for the All-Star game, or maybe be available for an out or two. We will see. And one of the more surprise Yankees this year, who really has come out of spring training and been a main factor in the Yankee bullpen, is Dellin Betances. Betances is holding a 4-0 record with a 1.61 ERA which is an amazing stat if you look at this guy's numbers in the past couple of years. Betances spent a good amount of his early 20s in the minor leagues, and he's been up with the Yankees the past 2 seasons. But now, in his 3rd year in the majors, he's really found himself in that Yankee bullpen. He struggled, and 26 years old, coming into the season, scouts really wondered if Betances was going to continue to struggle. How he would come out of spring training, and if he would just continue putting up the poor numbers he had. He was in the high 5s, the low 6 ERAs, which really is not something you want, especially out of your bullpen. But for Betances to come out and be an all-star really shows a lot about how much he's matured and how much he's improved. And he will be well representing the Yankees, and it is great that he's getting his name out on the national stage. So we will see all these 4 New Yorkers representing our teams Tuesday night on Fox in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the Twins will be hosting it. So tonight, the Mets go against the Braves, who swept them last week, and I agree with everyone who is saying that this is the final stand for the Mets. This is it. They're 10 games out of first place. They got swept by the Braves last week. They got 4 with the Braves, 3 with the Marlins this weekend before the All-Star break. They have to win. I'd say at the worst, split with the Braves. At worst, take the series from the Marlins. But if the Mets can come out, take 3 out of 4 from Atlanta right here, they are in contention. They are sitting good come the All-Star break. This series is going to make or break the season if you aren't pessimistic and already say the season is broken. Daisuke Matsuzaka will go tonight. He'll be facing off against Mike Minor. They need wins, and they need wins now, and Terry Collins knows this. He seemed very excited for the season, for the series, in yesterday's post-game interview after a 8-4 win, a series win over Texas. The Mets, I can't argue with Sandy Alderson when he states that these guys are 1 or 2 major pieces away from being contenders, but I'd like to see them compete a little more, especially against a team like the Braves, who I know, and they probably know in that clubhouse, we can beat them. We can. So I'm really interested in seeing how the Mets will come out tonight and the next 3 days against the first place Braves, and maybe give themselves a little push before the All-Star break. The Yankees tonight go against the Indians. The Yankees sit 3rd place in the AL East. They're 3.5 back of first place Baltimore, a 1.5 back of second place Toronto. For the first half of the season, the Yankees are not playing the baseball they were supposed to, and to say they're only 3.5 back of first place should give them a lot of confidence. The Yankees are normally a second-half team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this team come out in the second half, overcome Toronto, overcome Baltimore, and eventually by September take this division. They need more contributing from the offense, a little better starting pitching, but this team has potential, and the AL East this year is not what it is. The Rays, even though they've been extremely hot of late, still sit with a poor record at the bottom of the division. The Red Sox are not what they were last year. They're 7 back. And it's anyone's division right now. It's for whoever wants to take it. And the Mets and Yankees have both been a disappointment, I'd say, so far in the first half. But there's still a lot of baseball left. So just watch and we'll see how everything is going to pan out. But that is all the time that we have for today. I will be back next week with another New York sports show. everyone who listened. If you would like to provide your feedback, I would love that. And thank you for taking your time this afternoon for listening. I am Jacob Seuss, and thank you for listening to the New York Sports Show.